Well, now let's get you some statistics from the Africa Cup of Nations here in 2017. Of course, Gabon are hosting the competition for a second time in just 5 years. This is the 31st edition of the competition. And of course, Libya were originally supposed to host this tournament, but instead it fell to Gabon. Now, 368 players from 16 teams will be taking part in this year's tournament. Of course, the defending champions are the Elephants of Côte d'Ivoire. They are the defending champions, and they will be looking to defend their trophy at this year's edition. Guinea-Bissau are the only debutants at this year's edition. That means that just 15 countries on the African continent have not featured at the Africa Cup of Nations. Now let's look at the returnees, the teams that are coming back after a long absence away from the tournament. Egypt, of course, the Pharaohs, the most successful team in AFCON history, are coming back after 7 years out. Zimbabwe, the Warriors, will be coming back after a decade away from Africa Cup of Nations football. But the big one is Uganda. The Cranes are coming back after not featuring in Africa Cup of Nations football for nearly 40 years. Let's take a look at the groups and how they stack up. Of course, Group A has the host nation Gabon there. They've been drawn with Burkina Faso, Cameroon, and Guinea-Bissau, who they drew with just moments ago, 1-1. Group B features Senegal, the Lions of Teranga. They've been drawn with two North African sides, Algeria and Tunisia. Both those teams have one title to their name apiece. And of course, that group is rounded off by the Zimbabweans. We'll be talking more about them later. Now we go to Group C, where the defending champions Côte d'Ivoire are drawn with Morocco, DR Congo, who are two-time champions, and Togo, while Group D is rounded off by the Black Stars Ghana, Egypt's Pharaohs, Mali, and the Uganda Cranes. Well, now we talked about Zimbabwe. Joining us for more on their tournament is CGTN's Farai Mwakutuya. Farai joins us live from Harare in Zimbabwe. Now, Farai, talk to us about the team's preparations. There was a lot being made about the difficulty for the team in the run-up. Just tell us more about that.
Well, indeed, bad preparation seems synonymous with the Zimbabwe Warriors. Yet again, there were squabbles over player allowances. There were issues to do with finances or a lack of them. And that was hampering the team's performance. There were issues with some of the star players not wanting to train or wanting a bit of some extra time off to recover from the season that they've just ended. But all that seems to have been put to bed now. The fact that the team has left and is actually in Gabon shows that that has been put to bed because they had threatened not to go because of those challenges. The fact that they're on the ground clearly means that those issues have been resolved. State media reported yesterday that the first batch of money that was promised to the players as allowances has been paid, and so it seems that everything is back to normal, or everyone is happy in camp now. And just to tell you a bit about those finances, because it's been a big issue here in Zimbabwe, if the Warriors win that first game tomorrow against Algeria, then each of the players has been promised $2,000 as a winning bonus, and indeed for all the other group matches.
Well, Farai, obviously you mentioned that match. They opened their account against Algeria. They've been out of competition at the Africa Cup of Nations for a decade. Will they be ready for their North African counterparts?
Well, I can tell you that the feeling here, when I've spoken to football fans, I've spoken to coaches, I've spoken to former national team players, and the feeling and the sense here is that this is a golden generation of Zimbabwean footballers. It is the most talented team that Zimbabwe has been able to put together for a decade, and there's a lot of promise there, particularly when you look at the team going forward, from midfield going to the strike force. And so the sense here is that the preparations may not have been great, but that 1-1 result in a friendly against Cameroon sets the team up nicely, gives it a huge confidence boost, and coupled with the fact that there's some really great names, some really great players going forward, that is giving people a sense that Zimbabwe is ready indeed to take on Algeria. Despite it being higher ranked, despite it being more star-studded, Zimbabwe is ready to make a statement on its return after a decade away.
All right, Farai, thank you very much for that. We will, of course, be keeping an eye on that result. CGTN's Farai Mwakutuya joining us live from Harare ahead of the Zimbabweans' opening match against Algeria.